What's with that attitude? Who do you think allows you to live?
I'm sorry.
You are in the position of being my wife. So just shut up and do what you're told, you scum!
How many times has it been like this? To be subjected to such abuse from a husband, who should be an equal partner. Suddenly, we were happy at the beginning of our marriage. But when did things turn out like this? In the midst of already difficult days, the worst happened. My husband's infidelity was revealed. My heart was covered in a dark abyss, and sadness and anger surged simultaneously. Treating people conveniently, and then cheating on your spouse. Absolutely unforgivable. You remember this. I will pay back double for all the suffering I have suffered so far. My name is Ginger Green, and I'm 28 years old. I've been married to Mark for almost 2 years. Mark works for a company headed by his father, and at the young age of 32, he already holds a high position. He is destined to become the next president, ensuring a promising future. Our encounter was nothing but destiny. I was working at a flower shop at the time and had been standing in the store that morning to serve customers. Then, Mark showed up as a guest and approached me.
Excuse me, I want to send flowers to my mother for her birthday. What do you recommend?
If it's for a birthday, yes. Carnations are a classic choice, but they are often chosen for Mother's Day too. Sweet peas and roses are also popular.
There are so many types, I'm not sure.
I see. Oh, how about hydrangeas? They have a lovely meaning, symbolizing family bonds and patient love. Or something else?
Gah!
I'm sorry, I got carried away.
No, go on. Listening to you talk doesn't seem boring at all.
Saying this, he smiled modestly. In just a few minutes, I was struck by how gently he laughed. A complete change from the cool impression I had had of him before. After that day, he began to visit our store regularly. Each time, I shared my knowledge of flowers with him to the fullest. He always seems to enjoy listening, making me naturally happy as well. 2 months after we met, something happened. He bought a bouquet of 12 roses. These 12 roses, also known as Darcy roses, have a tradition in Europe where men used to present 12 roses to their girlfriends. Each rose had meanings like affection and respect, symbolizing a pledge of all these feelings to the recipient, often used during proposals. While I was wrapping the bouquet, Mark confidently shared this knowledge. I knew that different numbers of roses had different meanings, but I was surprised by how much he had researched. After finishing the wrapping, he handed the bouquet directly to me. In a state of confusion, I said, "Huh?" And he clearly stated,
I like you. I want to marry you.
What? Marriage? Even if you say that suddenly.
What? Is there someone else? If there is, I will talk to them.
No, there isn't. There's no one, but why so suddenly?
If you don't like it, you don't have to accept it. But I really want you.
Mark. At that moment, with no lover and feeling the pressure in front of friends quickly getting married, I might have been confused, but maybe this was fate. If someone loves me this much, I thought I could surely be happy. With that in mind, I accepted his confession and started dating. It seems he had marriage in mind from the beginning. As he quickly brought up the topic of marriage, I was fed up with my parents asking me every time I turned them down, "Is there anyone you want to go out with?" Because of this, I readily accepted his offer. I was surprised when I heard that Mark was the next president of the company. but I was increasingly attracted to his unpretentious personality, the kind that would give his mother a bouquet of flowers on her birthday. However, I began to feel uneasy about my husband's behavior. The first red flag was about 6 months into our marriage. In a strangely irritated state, my husband came home and roughly threw his bag onto the sofa. "Welcome back. What happened?" As I inquired, he raised his voice.
I just made a little mistake at work, and my old man got mad at me. Why the heck?
"Oh, really? But isn't it quite serious for your dad to get angry? Must have been something important."
What? So you are saying I'm the one at fault?
"Oh no, it's not that." I tried to laugh it off, but in the next moment, the TV remote came flying. The remote hit the wall, making a dull thud, and landed on the floor. Did my husband just throw the remote at me? Overwhelmed by fear, I collapsed on the spot, looking down at me with a cold stare. My husband uttered in a voice I'd never heard before.
Don't get too carried away, okay?
Mark?
Just because you managed to marry the future president, don't think you're safe. If you keep acting up, I will.
What are you saying? Why would you suddenly talk about throwing things away? I was just worried about you, Mark.
Shut up. It doesn't mean anything for an incompetent person like you to worry about me. Got it? You're just my wife. Don't interfere with my work. Just shut up.
This incident was the turning point, revealing my husband's true nature. Gradually, his verbal abuse became a daily routine. I've lost count of how many times I've heard words like good for nothing, stupid, and useless. Even now, after a year and a half of marriage, nothing has changed. I've become nothing more than a housekeeper, wearing the mask of a wife. Yet, the reason I have endured this marriage life is because of my in-laws. They treated me like their own daughter, especially my father-in-law, who has always seems to want a daughter. He keeps in touch with me regularly. Just the other day, while doing household chores, I received a call from my father-in-law. "Hello, this is Ginger."
Oh, Ginger. Sorry to call out of the blue. How are you doing?
"I'm fine, thank you. How are you both, Mom and Dad?"
We are doing great. My wife and I were thinking about going to lunch with you soon.
"Really? I'd love to join."
Great to hear that.
My heart naturally lightened at the sound of my father-in-law's happy voice. Upon sensing something, my father-in-law formally inquired,
Ginger, are you getting along well with Mark?
Yes. It's more like I'm lacking in some way."
That's not true. Ginger, you're a well-raised young lady. We'll understand if we talk.
"I'm not sure about that."
Ginger, if anything happens with Mark, feel free to consult with me. I promise to always support you. I may be Mark's father, but I'm also your father. If you are in trouble, I will definitely help you. Contact me anytime.
"Dad." Touched by his kind words, I almost shed tears. Suppressing the rising tears, I thanked my father-in-law and ended the call. "Dad, why did he bring this up now? Did I unintentionally reveal something in my voice? If I were to consult Mark's father about Mark's verbal abuse and Mark found out, just imagining it makes me shiver. For me, my husband has become a source of fear. One day, while cleaning my husband's room, I noticed a closet was half open. It seems the coat's hem got cold, causing a slight wrinkle in the coat. Should I take this to the dry cleaners? I'm planning to pick up dry cleaning anyway. As a precaution, I checked if there was anything in the coat pocket. Then, I found a piece of paper inside the pocket. What? What is this? It's a receipt from a dubious place often visited by couples. The date indicates a stay a week ago for 12 hours. On that day, my husband claimed he had sudden overtime and would stay at the company. In that moment, I collapsed to the floor. Never did I imagine that my own husband would be cheating. Mark, why? Why would he cheat? No matter how much verbal abuse he threw at me, I never doubted his love for me. At that time, he proposed with a bouquet of roses, and that gesture couldn't have been a lie. However, I can't forgive cheating. He betrayed me. Looking back, there were strange occurrences, sudden increase in overtime, constantly checking his phone, and a faint scent of soap despite supposedly him staying at the company. Now all those signs were clear evidence of infidelity. There's no room for leniency or consideration towards him anymore. This moment was when the trust I had built up for him crumbled. Unforgivable. After insulting people so much, he was cheating in secret? Just mocking others and quietly betraying me. But I won't just cry and accept it. I would definitely get revenge. From that day on, I decided to monitor my husband's behavior. I start following him when he leaves home, and after he disappeared to his office, I wait at the cafe near the entrance. Then, as expected, his lies became more and more obvious.
Today, I will be working overtime and staying at the company.
Such a message arrives, but he leaves promptly at the regular quitting time. Following him, I discover that he's meeting with a female colleague at the station 2 stops ahead. The two of them, arms entwined, head toward the location on the receipt. They spent the night together, and the next morning, as they emerged, they exchanged passionate kisses near the entrance. I continue to capture the whole affair with photos and videos. Regardless of it being for evidence, witnessing the scene of infidelity from a man I once loved is not a pleasant experience. After several weeks of observations, a substantial amount of evidence of the affair had accumulated. I waited for my husband to return to discuss it with him. I have something important to discuss. Sending that text, Mark returned home just past 11 p.m.
What's this about?
He opened his mouth with apparent annoyance, and I immediately broached the subject. Mark, are you cheating?
Huh? What are you talking about all of a sudden?
I know everything. Look, here's the evidence. I showed him the photos and videos I had collected on my phone. He briefly looked flustered, but quickly regained his composure.
Huh? And what's the big deal about this?
What? Why are you acting so nonchalant? This is undeniable evidence of your affair.
You just took these with your own phone, right? That's not evidence of anything. Ha ha ha.
No way. You did have a relationship with another woman, didn't you?
Oh well, if you're going that far, fine. It's over.
Huh? At that, Mark took out the divorce form he had prepared in advance and thrust it in front of me.
There you go. I will divorce you as you wish. Just get out quickly.
Wait. The conversation isn't over yet.
I cheated because you're not attractive. Got it? Get out, you trash.
Understood. I immediately packed my things and left the house. As I left, I heard Mark's voice saying,
You're finished too.
But I closed the door without saying anything. Apologies to my parents, who were so happy about the marriage, but with nowhere to go. I reluctantly returned to my parents' house. On the way back, I signed the divorce papers handed to me and submitted them to City Hall. I also didn't forget to print out all the evidence of the affairs I had overlooked and sent them in an envelope to my in-laws. The next day, I quickly received a call from them.
Ginger, is the content of that envelope true?
My father-in-law raised his voice at the outset. I'm sorry, Dad, for surprising you like this. After questioning him about the affair the other day, Mark kicked me out of the house.
What? And the person in the photos is one of our female employees.
Yes, but Mark said, what you took with your phone is not evidence.
There's no way he'd say that. To let you, Ginger, go through something like this. Leave it to me. I will make sure he pays for this.
I'm sorry, Dad. Please take care of it. To be honest, it was a gamble on how my father-in-law would react. He had said he would help, but accepting his son's infidelity, especially as the future company president, was not something that could be easily tolerated. If Mark's infidelity is revealed, my father-in-law's credibility in the company will be at stake. Worst case scenario, it might be swept under the rug. Half expecting the worst, I sent the evidence photos, but it seemed luck was on my side. A few days later, I received a call from Mark after a long time. Hello?
Hey, what the hell? Are you kidding me? Making up infidelity to my old man? What the hell are you doing? Do you understand your position?
Calm down and stop using weird language. I just reported the despicable actions of the future president.
What? Because of you, I got fired from the company, you know.
Oh, you got fired? But is that my fault?
You snitched on me to my old man, didn't you? I won't forgive you, you scum. You ruined my career. Thanks to you, the chance to be the next president is down the drain.
Apparently, my father-in-law took the appropriate steps to deal with Mark. My bet turned out to be a good one. I have nothing but gratitude for my father-in-law. But Mark, on the other hand, has never apologized and continues to abuse me. My anger at him reached its peak. Don't be silly. You still blame others for this situation? All this happened because you cheated on your wife while you were married. How could you say such a thing after betraying me?
Hey you. Who are you talking to? You should know your place.
What? You're just unemployed now, right? With the title of next president taken away, you've been fired, and there's no social value left in you. Now that your father's connections are gone, you're just an incompetent fool. You're nothing but a piece of trash who hangs on to your father's wishes.
You think you can just say whatever you want?
Regardless of what happens, I will never forgive you. I will make you suffer many times more than what I have been through, so be prepared. From now on, you will live without anyone's help forever. For eternity. Serves you right.
Hey, wait a minute. The conversation isn't over yet.
Goodbye. Take care, or rather, struggle on your own, okay? Before he could call me back, I blocked his number. Finally, peace returned to my life. Afterward, I demanded compensation from Mark, who had been fired from the company. His affair partner, also married, ended up paying compensation to her husband as well. Originally, not the saving type, Mark had no significant savings and ended up in debt to pay the compensation. Now, he works multiple part-time jobs, including night shifts at the living factory, struggling to make ends meet. For someone who had grown up without any financial worries as the son of the president, his current life must be unexpected. But I feel no sympathy. It's all the consequence of his own actions. As for me, I opened up to my parents, and I ended up staying at home for a while. My mom and dad warmly welcomed me, embracing me gently, saying, "We are glad you're safe." Now I've returned to that flower shop where I used to work, enjoying fulfilling days. Although I've become divorced, I find more than enough happiness without getting married again. The painful past cannot be erased, but I can use it to shape a better future. I aspire to live a better life based on the lessons learned from this experience.
Today is my beloved husband's birthday. I secretly took the afternoon off to pick up his favorite cake from the bakery. We've both been so busy lately that we haven't had much time together as a couple. My husband doesn't really care much about his own birthday, but I think these moments are important. After picking up the cake, I stopped by the grocery store to buy ingredients for dinner, imagining his surprised face as I happily made my way home. But the moment I opened the front door, my mind went blank. What? What's going on? There was a pair of unfamiliar pink pumps in the entryway. As I stood frozen, I heard a sweet, unfamiliar female voice overlapping my husband's voice from inside the room. I couldn't believe this was happening, but I couldn't just ignore it. I decided then and there to get revenge. Hello? I took out my phone and dialed a certain number. My name is Maggie. I'm 32 years old. I've been working at a cafe I've known since my student days, where I'm now the assistant manager. The current manager is transferring to another branch, and I've just been selected as a candidate for the manager position. It's my first time in such a role, and I'm a bit nervous, but I have a reason to give it my all: my husband. I married Victor 3 years ago. He's kind to everyone, always respects my opinions, and that's why I fell for him. He's just as kind as when we first started dating. Just the other day, when I told him I was a candidate for manager, he was thrilled.
What? That's amazing.
Well, I was acting as the manager when our manager was helping at another store, so...
Even so, it means you're recognized as capable of being a manager. That's really incredible. Managing a whole store?
Victor, you're exaggerating, but I'm really happy you say that. I'll do my best.
If you're moving up, I need to step it up too. I need to work hard so we can buy our own house soon.
Yeah, that's right. Those moments of laughing together are when I feel happiest. I was determined to work harder for his sake. One day, I came home from work to find Victor not there. Usually, I get home later than him, since he works closer to home. There was no message from him on my phone. He usually lets me know if he's working overtime. But there was nothing today. What happened to him? Did something happen? I wondered as I sent him a message. But it went unread, and time just passed. Usually he replies even when he's working late. Why not today? Could something have happened on his way home? But I would have heard from the police or hospital if there was an accident. I let my imagination run wild and became needlessly anxious. All I could do was clutch my phone and pray for his safety. Several hours later, after 11 p.m., I finally heard the front door open. I immediately got up and hurried to the entrance. Victor! Welcome home. I'm so glad you're okay. As I rushed to him, half in tears, he momentarily grimaced, but then quickly returned to his usual gentle smile and patted my head.
Sorry I'm late.
Some last-minute work came up.
So it was overtime? But you usually reply. What happened? I was really worried about you.
Sorry about that. I was so busy today, I didn't even have a moment to check my phone.
It must have been tough. Why don't you go take a bath? It's ready.
Yeah, I will. Thanks, Maggie,
he said, embracing me gently. That's when I noticed a faint, sweet scent coming from him. Shocked, I just stood there frozen. He went to the bath without noticing my reaction. Left alone, I walked shakily to the sofa, sat down, and tried to make sense of things. That smell was definitely perfume. But he doesn't wear perfume, and I've never even bought any. So where did that scent on him come from? Driven by concern, I decided to ask him directly. As soon as he came out of the bath, I broached the topic. Hey, Victor, sorry to bother you when you're tired, but I need to ask you something.
What's up?
Well, I felt guilty as I looked at his kind face. Should I really be asking this? Despite my internal struggle, I decided to share my doubts. When you hugged me earlier, I noticed a really nice smell on you. It was sweet. You were at the office all day, right?
Yeah. I was at the office. Maybe the smell is from the female stuff? It could have transferred to me.
But I've never noticed it before. If it was from a colleague, I would have smelled it on you before.
It was just a coincidence today. Sorry if it made you feel bad. I'll be more careful next time.
Okay. He looked somewhat stiff as he shifted his gaze to his phone. His answer wasn't what I was looking for, but I couldn't push any further. From that day, I started to feel uneasy about his behavior. His occasional overtime became almost daily, and he would return home around midnight. Plus, he started going out with colleagues on weekends. Just last weekend, he said he was going on a trip with a coworker and left early without telling me where. He didn't bring back any souvenirs or show me any photos from the trip, despite my asking. This all made me start to suspect something was off. Unable to stand it any longer, I decided to check on him at his office. I left work earlier than usual, saying I had an errand, and headed to his office. I sat on a nearby bench and waited for him to come out. After about 15 minutes, I saw him leave the office. So it wasn't overtime after all. Is he meeting someone? I discreetly followed him, but he just walked towards the station. He didn't seem to be meeting anyone there either. Am I just being paranoid? Just as I was overwhelmed with guilt, I hurried over to him. Victor!
Maggie? What are you doing here? What about work?
Sorry, Victor. I actually doubted you. Holding back tears, I explained why I was there. He listened in silence, then sighed softly.
You worry too much, Maggie. Why would I cheat you? I'm married to you.
I know. Sorry. But you've been coming home late and spending weekends away. That's why I got anxious.
Sorry for making you feel that way. There's no way I would get involved with someone else while I'm married.
Yeah, you're right. I'm really sorry for doubting you.
It's okay. Anyway, let's go home now. How about we grab dinner somewhere?
Let's do that. I was thrilled about dining out with my husband after such a long time. All my worries and negative thoughts just melted away. I was convinced he hadn't betrayed me. But at that moment, I was oblivious to where he had really been planning to go that day. 2 weeks later, it was Victor's birthday. I had told him I would be a bit late from work, but planned a birthday party. In reality, I had taken the afternoon off to prepare for it. I usually don't take many days off, so my request was easily approved. After finishing my morning duties, I left work with a spring in my step to pick up the cake I had reserved at his favorite bakery. We had both been busy lately and hadn't spent much time together. He himself didn't seem too interested in his birthday, but I thought these moments were important. After picking up the cake, I stopped by the grocery store to buy ingredients for dinner, happily picturing his surprised face as I headed home. But the moment I opened the front door, my world turned upside down. What? What's going on? There were unfamiliar pink pumps in the entryway. As I stood frozen, I heard voices from the bedroom.
Are you sure this is okay? Isn't your wife at work?
It's fine. She won't be back till tonight.
But are you sure she hasn't found out? Didn't you run into her at the station the other day?
Yeah, that was a close call. I just said I got off work early and went to eat, but sorry I couldn't see you that day.
It's okay. It would be worse if we got caught and I couldn't be with you anymore.
You're so cute when you say that.
His voice overlapped with that of the unfamiliar woman. They were in the bedroom, embracing each other. I was so shocked that I couldn't even cry. Without realizing it, I started recording their conversation on my phone, capturing the proof of their affair. I couldn't believe this was happening, but I couldn't ignore it. I had to get my revenge. This was my only chance. I took out my phone and called a certain number. Hello? Is this Lance? It's been a while. This is Maggie. I called Victor's father, Lance, not explaining the situation but asking him and his wife to come over immediately. He sensed the urgency and said he'd be right over. It's only a 15-minute drive from their house to ours. After hanging up, I called another number. Hello? Is this the police? There's a stranger in my house. Can you come right away? Yes, I called the police. After giving them my address, they said they would be right over. Waiting at the front door, the police and my in-laws arrived almost simultaneously. I followed them, walking behind everyone. We tiptoed to the bedroom door. I said, "That's the room," and the officer opened the door with force.
Police? What?
The officer was surprised to see Victor and his mistress. My in-laws were completely frozen. But my husband and the mistress were the most panicked. She tried to hide under the covers, while he turned pale and looked around frantically.
Maggie? What the hell?
What do you mean? I came home and heard a stranger's voice. So I called the police.
Why did you have to call my parents too? You're crazy.
Who's crazy here? Taking advantage of the fact I wouldn't be home at night to bring your affair partner into our house?
What? Why are you home at this time? You're usually later.
It's your birthday. I thought I'd surprise you by coming home early. And this is what I find? He wanted to say something, but eventually fell silent. The officer, having heard the conversation, turned to me.
So, what should we do about this woman? We can take her to the station for questioning.
Please do. Take her right away.
Yes, ma'am.
I yanked the woman out of bed, threw her clothes at her, and handed her over to the officer. The police escorted her out, leaving my in-laws and us in the house. Victor attempted to sneak back under the covers, but his father sharply reprimanded him.
What the hell are you doing, Victor? With another woman? In your own house? Despite being married? It's not what it looks like, Dad. It's a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? We saw it with our own eyes. What a fool you are. I'm sorry, okay? She was just a fling. I never intended to divorce Maggie. You think Maggie would want to stay with you after this? We no longer consider you our son. What? Dad, I'm your son. Are you going to abandon me? Shut up. You're disowned. Don't ever cross our doorstep again.
After saying this, my father-in-law sincerely apologized to me. It wasn't their fault. The blame lay solely with Victor and his mistress. Victor still didn't seem to grasp the situation. He hastily dressed, then turned to me with a forced smile.
Maggie, I'm sorry, okay? But you're the only one I love.
Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
Of course. I only love you. She was just a fling, so there's no need for a divorce.
Ignoring that his parents were there, I grabbed Victor by the collar and raised my voice. Cut the crap. You love me? She's just a fling? You have no idea how much you've hurt me. Finding out about your affair on your birthday? There's nothing worse. You made me feel miserable, and you're going to take full responsibility for that.
Don't be so mad. I won't see her again. I'll delete her number.
Do whatever you want. I won't see you again, and I'll delete your number too.
Wait, you're joking, right? We're married, are we?
Do you think I'm joking? I have no intention of continuing a relationship with a scumbag like you. I'd rather live alone than continue being married to you. Don't ever interfere in my life. Again. His face turned pale, and tears filled his eyes. He called my name several times, but I ignored him and left the room. Later, I packed my things and moved back to my parents' house. After settling down, I consulted a lawyer and filed for alimony from Victor and his mistress. The divorce proceedings are also underway. The recorded evidence and the fact that my in-laws witnessed the affair are working in my favor. The lawyer is skilled, so it's only a matter of time before the divorce is finalized. Surprisingly, it turned out that his mistress was also married. She and Victor are facing a lot of trouble, being sued for alimony by her husband. Their relationship soured due to the alimony issues. They argue constantly and are unlikely to end up together even after my divorce is finalized. I informed Victor's company about the divorce and its reasons, so he's lost his standing and is facing a possible transfer to a regional branch. All I can say is they got what they deserved. As for me, after staying with my parents for about a month, I rented a house near my workplace. I've officially become the manager, and I'm living fulfilling days. Though it ended in divorce, I have no regrets. What matters most is how I live my life happily from here on out.